wake up, check your phone, notifications, news, 100 updates. Before your feet even touch the ground, the world is already demanding your attention. So you sip your coffee, open your inbox, scroll through perfectly filtered lives, and once again, you feel it. That low hum of restlessness. You've done the work. Read the self-help books. Listen to the podcasts. You've tried cold showers, meditation, journaling, dopamine detoxes, yet peace, real, unshakable peace, still feels miles away. And here's the question: if we're doing everything right, why do we still feel so wrong? We've been taught that happiness is something to acquire, that with enough goals, discipline, and success, we'll eventually arrive. But no one tells you where exactly that destination is. And worse, no one warns you what it costs to chase it endlessly. This is the modern condition. A world obsessed with pleasure, addicted to performance and terrified of silence. And that's why this channel exists. Welcome to Stoic Lighthouse, the light that leads through chaos. If you're tired of running in circles, hit like and subscribe, because here we stop chasing and start understanding. Musonius Rufus, one of the most overlooked yet powerful Stoic voices, once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That quote is not meant to inspire you, it's meant to confront you, because true freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. It's about no longer being ruled by every craving, every fear, every emotion that storms through your mind. The truth is, maybe we're not unhappy because we're missing something. Maybe we're unhappy because we've been taught to look in all the wrong places. So let's step back. Let's ask better questions. Let's rediscover the kind of happiness that can't be bought, sold, or swiped. The kind that ancient minds knew long before the term mental health ever existed. Let's begin. Number 1. The modern mistake: chasing happiness like a drug. We were promised happiness, but what we got was performance. Every scroll, every like, every notification, another hit of dopamine. In this economy of attention, even happiness has been commodified, branded, optimized, monetized. The mistake: we've started confusing temporary highs with true contentment. In the world of Stoicism, this is a catastrophic error, because as soon as you expect happiness to feel like a constant rush, you begin building your identity around stimulation, not stability. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, believed that the path to well-being wasn't paved with pleasure, but with alignment. He taught that a flourishing life was the result of living in harmony with nature and reason, not chasing delight. According to Zeno, the goal is to live according to nature, not according to desire. What Zeno meant wasn't about trees and rivers. He was pointing to the nature of reality itself, unpredictable, uncontrollable, impermanent. To fight it is to suffer. To align with it is to find peace. In our time, modern Stoic thinker William B. Irvin echoes this sentiment when he says, "The Stoic ideal is not the pursuit of happiness, but the avoidance of misery caused by false beliefs." And what belief could be more false than this one? That happiness means always feeling good. Chrysippus, the intellectual architect of early Stoicism, pushed the school even deeper. He argued that emotional disturbances weren't just natural, they were the consequence of flawed reasoning. In other words, the storm is in the mind, not in the world. Today, psychology labels this cognitive distortion. Chrysippus was teaching it in 200 BC. Meanwhile, the culture teaches us to stay positive at all costs. But positivity without honesty is just denial wearing a smile. Musonius Rufus, a Stoic teacher known for his radical clarity, rejected this completely. According to Musonius Rufus, the person who has trained their mind has no need to seek constant joy. They carry it with them. And then there's Heracles, who introduced the idea of concentric circles, starting from the self, expanding to family, community, humanity. He believed that happiness was not a solo mission. It was a moral practice, a responsibility to live with integrity in every circle you touch. Massimo Pigliucci, building on this tradition, once said, "Happiness is not something you aim at. It's what follows when you aim at the right things." We don't suffer today because we lack tools. We suffer because we've been aiming at illusions. We think happiness is a trophy, when it's really a byproduct of living wisely. This isn't a call to reject pleasure. It's a call to stop mistaking it for meaning. Because once you understand the difference between a dopamine spike and a virtuous life, you begin to walk away from the addiction and toward the freedom the Stoics were always pointing to. Number 2, the Stoic cure. Joy rooted in reason. Modern life offers endless ways to feel good, but very few ways to actually feel grounded. We seek pleasure in a million directions. More noise, more validation, more stimulation. But the more we chase, the more we lose the one thing that truly matters: clarity of mind. Cleanthes, the second head of the Stoic school after Zeno, believed that true joy wasn't found in indulgence, but in alignment between thought and action. He taught that the wise person doesn't run from emotion nor become its slave. Instead, they learn to listen, pause, respond. According to Cleanthes, "Lead me, O Zeus and destiny, wherever you have assigned me. I shall follow without hesitation." To him, serenity wasn't found in changing the world. It was in aligning with it, letting reason guide the way, even when emotions scream for control. Today, this principle lives on in the work of Donald Robertson, a modern psychotherapist who helped revive Stoicism for the 21st century. He argues that cognitive distancing, the act of stepping back from your thoughts and feelings, is the key to emotional mastery, not to suppress, but to see clearly. He writes, "We are not our thoughts. We are the observer of those thoughts, and that distance is where freedom lives." This is not emotional numbness, it's emotional navigation. William B. Irvine builds on this with the idea of negative visualization, imagining loss, not to suffer preemptively, but to awaken appreciation. He reminds us that by mentally rehearsing adversity, we actually strengthen resilience and sharpen gratitude. This practice echoes an ancient Stoic belief that joy is not the result of having everything, but of needing less and aligning our wants with our values. According to Chrysippus, the wise man is self-sufficient, not because he desires little, but because he desires wisely. This is where the Stoics diverge from modern happiness culture. While society tells you to manifest abundance, Stoicism teaches you to master your desires. Not to kill ambition, but to train it, to ensure it's in service of your soul, not your ego. Heracles extended this teaching into ethics, arguing that when we act with moral clarity, we create a harmony that naturally brings calm. Joy, then, becomes a reflection of internal coherence. Not hype, not illusion, just quiet strength. In Stoicism, this is called eudaimonia, not happiness as a feeling, but as a state of moral flourishing. It's not about being excited, it's about being anchored. And in a world addicted to extremes, that kind of joy is not only rare, it's revolutionary. Number 3, the trap of toxic positivity. There's a silent epidemic in our culture, and it's not anxiety, it's emotional dishonesty. We've been taught that sadness is failure, that anger is weakness, that if you're not smiling, something must be broken. This is the new social rule: feel good, look good, stay positive, always. But what happens when real life hits? When grief shows up uninvited? When failure laughs in your face? When the mask cracks and the smile doesn't come back? We panic. Because we were never taught how to sit with pain, only how to hide it. Musonius Rufus, often called the Roman Socrates, warned against this kind of shallow resilience. He didn't teach people to be cheerful. He taught them to be strong. According to Musonius Rufus, the soul is strengthened through adversity, not comfort. That's a message we desperately need today. Because toxic positivity has created a world where people apologize for crying, where we rush through grief, where we label discomfort as dysfunction. And this doesn't just create repression, it creates shame. We start to believe that feeling deeply means we're broken, that if we're struggling, we must be doing life wrong. Pericles offered a different view. He believed that emotional connection to ourselves and others is fundamental to the Stoic life. Not because it makes us feel good, but because it makes us whole. He wrote about circles of care that start within and ripple outward, teaching that a wise person doesn't deny emotion, they simply place it in proper perspective. In modern times, Donald Robertson reminds us, the goal of Stoicism isn't emotional suppression, it's emotional intelligence. It's the ability to respond, not react. That means allowing grief, facing disappointment, feeling the weight of loss without being crushed by it. Toxic positivity says, just stay upbeat. Stoicism says, sit with your suffering, let it teach you. Chrysippus believed that philosophy was a form of therapy, a daily training of the mind to face reality without illusion. He didn't promise relief, he promised readiness. Ryan Holiday, echoing this, often reminds us, the obstacle is the way, not a detour, not a mistake, the way. So when the world tells you to just be happy, the Stoics offer something more powerful, permission to be real, not to indulge your pain, but to integrate it, to find the courage to stand in discomfort and still choose character over comfort. Because happiness isn't pretending everything is fine, it's learning to live wisely, even when it's not. Number 4, how science is catching up with the Stoics. For centuries, people assumed philosophy and science belonged to separate worlds. Philosophy was abstract, science was data. But today, the gap is closing, and it turns out much of what the Stoics taught over 2,000 years ago, modern psychology is only beginning to prove. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most effective approaches in modern psychology, is built on a simple idea. Your thoughts shape your emotions shape your behavior. Sound familiar? It should. Because this idea was already fully developed by Chrysippus, the great systematizer of Stoicism. He taught that distorted thinking was the root of suffering, and that reason was the antidote. According to Chrysippus, the cause of emotional disturbance is not the world itself, but our beliefs about it. Today, therapists call this cognitive reframing. The Stoics called it philosophy. Donald Robertson, both psychotherapist and Stoic scholar, often points out this direct lineage. His work bridges ancient wisdom with clinical practice, and he's shown that tools like mindfulness, journaling, and value-based living, central to Stoic discipline, are now validated by research in emotional regulation and resilience. Cleanthes, an early leader of the Stoic school, believed in living in agreement with the Logos, a rational structure underlying the universe. To him, serenity came from understanding that we are part of a larger order and that resistance to it breeds chaos. Modern neuroscience echoes this in the concept of coherence, the alignment between emotion, cognition, and physiology. When our thoughts match our values, when we stop resisting reality, our nervous system calms, our mind sharpens. William B. Irvine explores this alignment in his book, A Guide to the Good Life, where he emphasizes the practice of voluntary discomfort, choosing controlled adversity to build inner strength. This principle is now echoed in studies on resilience training and post-traumatic growth. According to William B. Irvine, a Stoic seeks not to banish desire, but to master it, to become the sculptor of his own mind. And then there's Heracles, whose circles of concern model resembles today's psychology of connection and empathy. He taught that a meaningful life requires not just self-mastery, but responsibility to others. An insight now confirmed by decades of research linking community, purpose, and emotional health. Even the practice of negative visualization, imagining loss to appreciate the present, has been supported by findings in gratitude research and cognitive flexibility. Ryan Holiday captures it best when he says, "Stoicism is the original mental health framework. It wasn't spiritual bypassing. It was psychological training. The Stoics weren't guessing. They were observing, testing, refining. And now, 2,000 years later, scientists are finally catching up. Not to replace Stoicism, but to confirm what the wisest minds already knew. Happiness is not found in the absence of struggle, but in the presence of clarity, character, and courage." Number 5. The real formula for lasting happiness. Everyone wants to be happy, but almost no one stops to ask, what does that actually mean? Is it comfort, success, excitement, freedom? The modern world throws answers at us constantly. Buy this, chase that, fix yourself, upgrade everything. But the more we chase, the more happiness begins to feel like a moving target, always just out of reach. The Stoics saw this trap coming centuries ago. They believed that happiness isn't found by accumulation, it's built through alignment. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that a fulfilled life comes from living in harmony with reason and virtue, not in chasing highs, but in choosing coherence. When your actions align with your principles, peace is no longer a pursuit. It becomes your default state. According to Zeno, happiness is a good flow of life, a rhythm in accordance with nature. It sounds simple, but it's radical, because it means happiness isn't about what you feel, it's about how you live. Chrysippus took this further by insisting that emotions are shaped by judgments, and if we change how we interpret life, we change how we experience it. William B. Irvine interprets this as the art of intentional living, designing your thoughts, desires, and habits around a deeper aim. He writes, "Happiness, for a Stoic, is not a mood, it's a strategy." That strategy? It's made of 4 timeless elements. 1. Reason, the ability to choose how you think. 2. Virtue, the moral compass that guides your choices. 3. Purpose, a life aimed at something higher than self-interest. 4. Acceptance, the courage to embrace what you cannot control. Musonius Rufus, who taught that philosophy should be practical above all else, said, "The happy life is one in which we are in control of our desires, not controlled by them." This is the opposite of modern happiness culture. There you're taught to manifest everything you want. Here you learn to want only what truly matters. Heracles adds the final piece, the understanding that happiness isn't isolated. It's rooted in connection with yourself, your loved ones, and the world. He believed that expanding your circle of concern leads to deeper fulfillment because it transforms your life from self-centered to value-centered. And Ryan Holiday reminds us, the Stoics didn't aim to feel good. They aimed to be good, and from that came everything else. That's the shift. From chasing a feeling to becoming a certain kind of person. So if you're still asking what happiness really is, maybe it's not something to find. Maybe it's something to build, one decision at a time, with reason, with virtue, with intention, and with the quiet understanding that the storm outside doesn't define the stillness within. At some point, you realize happiness isn't a place. It's not a trophy. It's not a mood. It's discipline, a daily practice, a quiet decision to live with clarity, courage, and character. The Stoics didn't promise bliss, they promised strength. And from that strength, a serenity no algorithm can sell you, no storm can shake. Zeno taught that harmony with nature brings inner peace. Chrysippus taught that your thoughts create your world. Musonius Rufus taught that virtue is the true wealth. William B. Irvine teaches that happiness is built, not found. Ryan Holiday reminds us that perception is everything. And Donald Robertson brought it all back to life for people like you and me. Now ask yourself, what version of happiness have you been chasing? And is it one you can live with, even in silence, even in suffering? Leave a comment below and tell us, what's your definition of happiness? And what has stopped you from living it fully? Your insight could be the light someone else needs today. If this message stirred something in you, like the video, share it, subscribe to Stoic Lighthouse. This is more than a channel. It's a movement, a return to what's real. And in the next video, we're diving into the story of the man who resurrected the Stoics for the modern world, a psychologist who unearthed ancient tools, rewired emotional resilience, and changed thousands of lives across the globe. You've heard his name whispered in podcasts. Now you'll learn why his work is exploding in 2025, and why understanding him could completely shift how you face your own mind. Until then, remember, true peace isn't loud. It's the calm of someone who no longer needs to prove anything. See you in the next video.